What's up, Vulnerability Muscle fam? Just wanted you to know that new episodes of Vulnerability Muscle are going to drop May 6th. That's Monday, May 6th. The next season of Vulnerability Muscle will drop, so mark your calendars. But in the meantime, I hope you enjoy some of these clips from season 1. Please like, subscribe, share these episodes with everybody that you know so that they can get a taste of Vulnerability Muscle. In the meantime, keep flexing that vulnerability muscle.
So, man, you from black man to black man, I just appreciate what you do and how you do it. And, man, I just champion you, man. You know I'm here for you. Whatever you need, I'm here for you, man.
Bro, that's like you literally stole the words right out of my mouth because I was about to do the exact same thing. Look, I was about to hand you your flowers right there too.
Yeah, I'll
Cause
take them.
oh,
I got to plug that real quick
and
too.
we
I
got a
know
nice book right there.
if you don't have it, I think you need to go ahead and pick that up.
PTSD, Perseverance Through Severe Dysfunction.
PTSD.
But tell me, so 15 is the name of the show, and what does that represent for you, and what was the significance around naming it 15?
Yeah, it was about a 15-year prison sentence.
Wow.
So in 2008, I was arrested on a drug possession charge that carried a 15-year sentence.
Oof.
And so I did 3.5 of those years and had to do the rest on parole. And in April, got off parole and
Congrats.
decided to, yeah, it was definitely, man, it's quite a journey. But in getting off, I decided to sort of mark that time with an exhibit because that's been the most influential and healing thing in my life has been art making. Like,
Vic knows, bro. Like I would say once I got in a relationship with my wife, I didn't realize how much love I wasn't getting from my
Mm,
house. And it made me so fucking angry.
mm,
Right? It made me so angry. Cause like when I was with my wife, like she had unconditional love for me, right? Like
mhm.
certain things that like I would do, and like I'm expecting a completely different. Like I'm expecting what I'll get at home, like whatever, like anger or just reactionary shit. And it was the complete opposite with my wife. It was complete grace.
Like what's the difference between like how your father raised you and how Gabriel raised and how your Gabriel raised. Basically, I'm doing the complete opposite. I'm making sure that that boy wakes up every day, tells himself, I'm confident, I'm smart, I'm kind. Be- because when you don't have that, you're broken.
The mental health space. It's a person who doesn't look like us, and that's great, and it's well intentioned, but it's still, if you're trying to break down vulnerabilities and break down insecurities, especially as they relate to your identity, you need somebody who's going to be able to be on that level playing field.
And if I can add this, it's like our company relate to athletes. We really focus in on trying to reach those students who are the racial majority on the team, but they are the
Ah,
minority on the campus.
And I think it's important that people invest in multifamily properties because, especially when you're young, because you can house hack, save your money, and then when you get a little older or whatever, you can move on. But I like multifamily invest. That's something I'm big into. I go into juvenile and I speak to children about young men and women about you know where you think is going to determine your outcome. I tell people all the time, the decision you make while you're young is going to be the outcome when you get older. And at the time you think you just living and you just going by day to day life, but the decisions you make will affect you as you get older.
Once I was able to, and it's still a struggle, Reggie, man. It's still a struggle because as I said earlier, I just want to be a daddy, bro. And it hurts me, but I once I was able to really, really drop that shame and embarrassment, man, I'm able to do what I'm doing now
mm,
because it's another man that is probably gonna hear this
yep.
that went through the exact same thing I went through and is going through. the exact same thing. And above all else, that's the biggest hurdle is the shame and embarrassment. If I'm being honest,
Mm-hmm.
knowing that you did what you did, but holding yourself accountable to how you brought variables in the situation that have made it what it is, and then how you gonna change it.
Mm-hmm.
It's so much, man.
That was to be able to see the light that was within myself. But to be able to see that
Yes.
light, sometimes you have to be okay going through that darkness. So for
Yes.
me, vulnerability has really been my way of, I guess, just like the scripture says, walking through the valley of the shadow of death, but not fearing any evil. I think the reality for me is that I feared it for so long that at one point you have to just make that decision in your head to say, you know what, if I'm going to stay here, there's no reason being scared. I got to
Mm-hmm.
keep going through. There's no reason. I
Mm-hmm.
think Steve Harvey said it best. If you're in hell, why stop? Keep going.
Yeah.
You're already in
Yeah.
hell.
Yeah.
And so vulnerability has made me to say, Eric, this is who you are as a person. Let's keep shedding all that numbness. Let's keep shedding all that
Mm-hmm.
shielding. Let's keep shedding all that extra flesh and stuff that those calluses that you put on yourself mentally, physically, and spiritually, and let them go so that you can actually be open to the reality of life and what it has to offer for you. And so that's what I think the power of vulnerability has done for me.
The imposter syndrome set in, and me
Mm.
feeling like uh I've known people who've been doing music for 10 years and I've touched stages that they haven't in my first year. And am I worthy of that? You know what I'm saying? Am I supposed to be in this position? Was that a fluke? You know what I mean? So you know what they say, that sophomore slump, you know what I mean? And that kind
Mm-hmm.
of just, like I said, and the loss of the job came. It was a company issue, but it was also in me. Not, like I said, I went from being here to there, so I was a low man on the totem pole in so many ways, and that really put a halt to like all of my plans that I'd had, for my first. Like I was ready to follow up, man.
Yeah.
I was ready to hit a home run,
Right.
and once that happened, I went to being a full-time entrepreneur in music, something that I'm still so unsure of.
I should be able to expect what I give in return,
Mm-hmm.
and the interesting thing about that, particularly around faith and around sports, w- it's been so ingrained in me that you just give, and you don't worry about getting in return because God is going to be the rewarder. And while that's true in relationship, you're supposed to get back what you
Yes.
give.
Reciprocity, man. Huge.
Right? Like reciprocity is so important. And so giving myself the permission to expect to be treated well,
Mm.
right? To
Mm.
expect to be loved, to expect grace, to expect forgiveness.
Whenever you give humans a very powerful thing like religion, they will always use it to divide and try to conquer with it, right? So for me, it was like I started to look at it from the sense of like just because somebody misuses something doesn't necessarily mean that it's inherently evil or it's you can't be used productively. So for me, I started to foster more of like a relationship with God, but also not from the lens of like I'm right, I'm wrong, you're going to hell. It's like, man, look, this works for me. This is what
Mm-hmm.
gives me agency to
Yes.
be the best person I could be. This is what gives me agency to create the most community and most love and operate in the world that at the best of my capacity. Whatever works for you,
Yeah.
I want to
That's
hear
good.
more about it and I want to see how that works for you. And like let's have beautiful conversations about that. And let's create space for each other.
What are some productive solutions that we can do to address those from a system level?
From a system level. Whew. Lord. Okay, so from a system level, I would say that we need to first recognize the ways in which all of the different systems are impacting different groups of people disproportionately. We would see how the education system and the lack to teach Black history is causing us to not really understand ourselves, and we're essentially accepting whatever the media tells us about ourselves because that's what's most prominent in our experiences. When it's talking about healthcare, we got to talk about the ways in which our healthcare system is keeping us from having access to it. Right? Not only that, when we do have access to it, we got to talk about the ways in which, for example, mental health system, we're being restrained and violence is being enacted on us when we're going to seek care. We got to talk about the ways in which the family policing system, they're using social workers to break up Black families when the real issue of neglect is about not having the economics to provide for their families, right?
So instead of seeing people as they're deficient, we got to see people and humanize them in ways that we're like, what are the resources that they need? What resources would my family need in order to secure a safe and healthy environment for them and a future for them? So in those ways, if we analyze each system and the ways that it's, waging violence against Black bodies, the ways that, even our names can affect whether or not we get employment, right? Unless we act on the fact that there are Black women getting sued right now for the Fearless Fund, right? A fund that's trying to give Black women grants, but they think that's racist and against the Civil Rights Act. And, there's like less than 1% VCs who are Black, who are focusing on Black women. So it's right. We have to understand that there's these systems that exist that are enacting violence, and they don't want us to be great. And that's what's in us, right? Our destiny is greatness. We come from greatness. We got to learn our history, right? Because if the system won't do it, we got to realize that, like, hey, I come from greatness and I have the ability to exude this greatness. I just got to not let myself get brainwashed by society, by other people. And I really got to, figure out what my passion is and be in line with it, as you started in the conversation this morning.
Self-love. Because to me, when you have self-love, you drop the shame that comes with whatever it is that you're afraid to be vulnerable about, right?
Yeah.
And so to me, the opposite of vulnerability is not strength. Like, it's not like you're either strong or vulnerable. No, it to me, it's you're either vulnerable or you're shameful. And so shame comes from a lot of negative self-image. And how do I look at myself? How do I view myself? What do I feel about me? And why is it bad? Why is it negative? Why does it have that connotation? Whereas vulnerability, if I'm able to be vulnerable about it, if I'm able to own up to my story, my life, my struggles, my goods, my bads, then that is a level of self-acceptance. And self-acceptance is a step towards self-love. What's up, Vulnerability Muscle fam? I hope you enjoyed season 1 of Vulnerability Muscle. If you haven't already done so, check out all 12 episodes of Vulnerability Muscle season 1 and tell me who is your favorite guest. What is your favorite quote? Let me know. Send a message, send a DM, send something so that I know what you resonate with. Be looking forward to season 2 of Vulnerability Muscle that is set to drop on May 6th. That's Monday, May 6th. Episodes start at 2 a.m. Central Time. That's U.S. Central. Monday, May 6th. Mark your calendars. But in the meantime, every Monday this month of April, we will be having clips from our favorite episodes of Vulnerability Muscle Season 1. So if you haven't already checked out the full episodes, go check those out so you're all caught up for Season 2. Thank you for joining another episode of Vulnerability Muscle. I hope that the stories and the insights shared really resonated with you. And if you want to help the podcast, you can do a few things. First, hit the subscribe button. If you've been moved by the conversations of redefining vulnerability, please consider leaving a review. Share your thoughts on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you're tuning in from. And don't forget to spread the word. Follow us at Vulnerability Muscle, where you can keep up with me personally at Reggie D for additional resources. And remember, embracing vulnerability is a strength. Thank you for being a part of the journey. And until next time, stay empowered, stay vulnerable, and keep flexing that vulnerability muscle. I'll see y'all May 6th.